Hello dear learners, good morning. Myself Dr. Antara Mohanto Borua from the discipline of Electronics at Krishnakanta Hendik State Open University, Guwahati. Today we are going to start the online course on electricity and electrical wiring. In this 3-month course, you will be getting 12 modules where you will discuss largely about the electricity and the basics of electrical wiring. Today I am here to introduce Module 1, that is Fundamentals of Electricity. This module consists of 3 lecture sessions. So first one is the Understanding Electricity. Then second one is on the basic terms related to electricity. And the third of this module is the Introduction to Conductor and Insulator. In today's lecture, we will be discussing the concept of understanding electricity. Now the contents are as follows. So first is electron theory, where we will discuss the atomic structure and the role of electrons in electricity. The second topic is the electricity and electric charge. In this section, we will learn about the origins of current, voltage and power as well as their properties. Next is the types of electricity. There are 2 types of electricity. So one is the static and the other is the dynamic or current electricity. And the current is also 2 types, that is the direct current and the alternating current. Next is the sources of electricity. In this section, we will explore the 2 sources of electricity, that is conventional and the non-conventional sources. In the final part, we will focus on the electricity generation, transmission, distribution and power consumption. So electricity is not just a source of power for our devices. It is fundamental force that impacts every aspect of our daily lives. It plays a key role in many natural phenomena. For example, the beautiful colors of a rainbow in the sky are the result of sunlight interaction with particles in the atmosphere, which is a process ultimately influenced by electricity. The electricity also essential for the functioning of our bodies. Muscle contractions are triggered by electrical impulses and our nervous system relies on electricity to transmit signals. Even the beating of our heart is regulated by electrical impulses that controls its rhythm. In fact, without electricity, we would not be able to see, as our eyes depends on electrical signals to process light. At the very fundamental level, even the building blocks of matter, atoms and molecules exist and interact because of electrical forces. Now clearly, electricity is at the heart of everything in our world, from the smallest atom to the largest machine. It is so deeply integrated into our daily lives that we often do not even realize how much we rely on it. In this lecture, we will explore how electricity works and why it is so essential to us. Now, electricity is the flow of electric charge. This charge is carried by tiny particles that is called electrons, which are found in atoms. Now, electron theory. The electron theory is based on the movement of electrons. It explains the behavior and properties of matters. According to the electron theory, all the matters are made of atoms, and these atoms consist of 3 fundamental elements. They are proton, neutron and electron. The central part of an atom is known as nucleus, which is very small as compared to the size of an atom. The nucleus consists of a proton and neutron. The protons are positively charged and the neutrons are neutral. That means they do not have any charge. So the nucleus is positively charged. Now the mass of proton is approximately the same as the mass of neutron. and it is about 1.67 into 10 to the power minus 27 kilograms. Now the electrons move around the nucleus of an atom in some orbits that are negatively charged particles. An atom is neutral when it has an equal number of protons and electrons. If you add an electron, then you get a negative ion, and the charge of an electron is same as the charge of the proton. Now the charge of an electron is the minus 1.6 into 10 to the power 19 coulomb, and similarly the charge of the proton is positive 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 coulomb. Now the mass of an electron is approximately 9.1 into 10 to the power minus 31 kilograms, and the mass of proton is 1.67 into 10 to the power minus 27 kilogram. The mass of an electron is about 1836 times smaller than that of a proton. All the mass of an atom is in the nucleus. The size of the nucleus is as much smaller than that of an atom. An atom is approximately 10 to the power 5 times larger than its nucleus. Now let us see the structure of two atoms, that is hydrogen and carbon. In this structure of hydrogen atom, the hydrogen atom consists of one electron and one proton, whereas in case of carbon atom, it contains 6 protons and 6 electrons, which are moving around in its two orbits, 2 electrons in the inner orbit and the 4 electrons in the outer orbit. Now the maximum number of electrons that the orbit follows by using this mathematical formula, E equal to 2 into n to the power 2, where n is the count of orbits and E is the maximum number of electrons that the orbit can have. Now for the first orbit n equal to 1, so E will be 2. It means it can have a maximum 2 electrons. Similarly, the second orbit can have a maximum number of 8 electrons, and the third orbit can have 18, and so on. Now when the outermost orbit of an atom contains more electrons than the fixed value, then the atom is called negatively charged. And if the number of electron is less in the outermost orbit than the maximum value, then the atom is called the positively charged. Dear learners, now let us move to the electricity and electric charge. When there is an imbalance of electrons and protons in an object, it becomes electrically charged. There are 3 ways in which objects can become charged. The first one is friction. When 2 objects rub against each other, electrons can be transferred from one object to another. The object that gains electrons becomes negatively charged, while the object that loses electrons becomes positively charged. For example, rubbing a comb against dry hair can transfer electrons and charge the comb, and it attracts small pieces of paper. The next method of charging is the conduction. Electric charge can also be transferred through direct contact between 2 objects. If a charged object comes into contact with a neutral object, some of its charge transfers to the neutral object. The neutral object becomes charged, and as a result, both objects acquire the same charge. For example, touching a negatively charged object to a neutral metal object can transfer electrons from charge to the metal object. The next way of charging is the induction. When a charged object is brought near a neutral object, Without touching, the charged object attracts opposite charge and repels similar charge present on the neutral object. If the neutral object is grounded, the like charge is neutralized and by the flow of charge from earth, leaving unlike charge on the body. Now removing the grounding and the charging body leaves the initial neutral body charged. This phenomenon where a charged object causes a redistribution of charges in the nearby object without direct contact is known as induction. Now let us quickly move to the difference between the charging by conduction and the induction. In this table, the process of charging a neutral body by touching a charged body is called charging by conduction. And in case of induction, the process of charging a neutral body without touching a charged body, it is called charging by induction. The next point, in the charging by conduction, it involves the transfer of charge from the charged body to the neutral body. In case of induction, it does not involve any transfer of charge from the charged body to the neutral body. In case of conduction, some charge is lost by the charging body, whereas in case of induction, no charge is lost by the charging body. Now, in case of charging by conduction, during charging by conduction, both the bodies acquire same type of charge. And in case of induction, during charging, both the bodies acquire different types of charge. Now let us see in this diagram, when a conductor is connected to a battery, the electric field is created by the battery, causes the free electrons in the conductor to move. This field keeps pushing the electrons towards the positive terminal of the battery and maintaining the current flow. The direction of electron flow and the current flow in a conductor are in opposite direction. Electric current is the flow of electric charge over time. Its unit is amperes and represents the rate at which charges move. Mathematically, C equal to Q by T, where Q represents the charge and is measured in coulomb, and T represents the time, which is measured in second. It means coulombs per second is the current and it is termed as ampere. The next topic is the electric potential and voltage. Both electric potential and voltage are the fundamental concept in electric circuits. Now imagine a ball placed on a ground. The ball is in the Earth's gravitational field, which pulls objects downward. Conventionally, the ground is considered to be at a low potential region, so the ball is at low potential region. Now, if we want to lift the ball to a point P above the ground, we must apply a force to move it upward against the direction of the gravitational field. This requires doing work on the ball to overcome the pull of gravity. After moving the ball to the point P, it is now at a higher potential region. So we can say that to move an object from a low potential region to a high potential region in a gravitational field, we need to do work on the object. This work is stored as gravitational potential energy. So when we lift the ball, the work we do is converted into potential energy and the ball is now in the state of higher gravitational potential energy. When the ball is released and falls back to the ground, the stored potential energy is converted into kinetic energy as the ball accelerates downward. Thus, we can say that when an object moves from a higher potential region to the lower potential region in a gravitational field, the potential energy it had is transformed into kinetic energy. Now let's summarize 3 important points from this discussion. Number 1 is work is required to move an object from a lower potential region to a higher potential region. Number 2, the gravitational potential energy is stored in an object when its position is changed in a gravitational field. And the third point is when an object falls from a higher potential region to a lower potential region, the gravitational potential energy is converted into kinetic energy, which can be utilized. Now, based on these 3 concepts, we can understand the electric potential or voltage. When the position of a charge is changed against the electric field, electric potential energy is stored in the charge. This stored energy is called electric potential or voltage. So remember that electric potential energy, electric potential and voltage are same things. We can define the electric potential is the amount of work done needed to move a unit charge from a lower potential region to a higher potential region against an electric field is called electric potential or voltage. Now simply remember that electric potential or voltage is equal to the work done per unit charge. The SI unit of electric potential or voltage is joule per coulomb or simply volt. Now the next topic is the electric field. When 2 charged objects are placed near each other, they exert a force on each other. This force can either be attractive or repulsive depending on the nature of charges. When a charged body enters the nearby zone of another charged body, a force is experienced. And the space surrounding a charged body where another charged body can experience a force is called the electric field of the former body. Now power. The power is defined as the work done per unit time. Or in other words, we can say that the rate at which work is done is called power. As the unit of work done is joule, so the unit of power is joule per second. And this unit is known as watt. A body is said to have 1 watt of power if it can perform 1 joule of work in 1 second. Power is equal to the product of current and voltage for a particular circuit. Mathematically, it is expressed as P equal to V into I, where P is the power, V is the voltage and the I is the current flowing through the circuit. Now we will discuss the types of electricity. Electricity is a form of energy that results from the movement of charged particles such as electrons and protons. There are 2 main types of electricity: static electricity and dynamic or current electricity. Now what is static electricity? This electricity occurs when there is an imbalance of electric charges on the surface of an object. It can typically build up when 2 materials come into contact and then separate, causing one to become positively charged and the other negatively charged. The example is the rubbing a balloon on your hair. When you rub the balloon against your hair, electrons are transferred from your hair to the balloon, making the balloon negatively charged. The hair becomes positively charged and stands up because opposite charges attract. The second example is lightning. In thunderstorm, static electricity builds up in clouds when the charge difference between the cloud and the ground becomes large enough, a spark occurs to balance the charges. Next is the current or dynamic electricity. This is the flow of electric charge through a conductor. It is a type of electricity that powers electrical devices like lights, computers, and appliances. Current electricity can be divided into two types. One is direct current and the other is alternating current. The direct current, the electric charge flows in one direction, like as in the battery, and in alternating current, the electric charge alternates direction periodically. All the electrical appliances around us run due to this dynamic electricity. We shall learn more about the alternating current in our later part. After going through this electron theory, electricity and electric charge, types of electricity, now let us test our learning by attempting the following questions. After answering these multiple choice questions, let us now move to the next part of this session, that is to discuss about the sources of electricity. The electricity is a versatile form of energy that can be converted into other forms of energy, such as light, heat, or mechanical energy. There are various sources of electricity that are used to generate the electrical power. These sources are available in the nature, and these sources are also classified into two main categories. One is the conventional sources or non-renewable sources, and second one is the non-conventional sources or renewable sources. Now let us discuss about the conventional sources of electricity. These sources of energy are in the limited quantity. They are fossil fuel, and where coal, oil, and natural gas are the sources of electricity, which are known as the fossil fuel. Now these fuels are burned in the power plants to produce heat, which is then used to generate steam to drive turbines connected to generators. Fossil fuel takes millions of years to form. At the time of burning of fossil fuel to produce energy, produces greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide. The next conventional source is the nuclear fuel. It is also used for production of electricity. Nuclear power plant generates electricity through nuclear fission, where the nucleus of an atom is split, releasing a large amount of energy. This energy is used to heat water and produce steam, which drives turbines to generate electricity. Now let us quickly move to the non-conventional sources or renewable sources. These sources of electricity are consist of naturally replenished, and they have a minimal impact on the environment compared to the conventional sources. These sources do not produce greenhouse effect gases, and its recovery rate of renewable sources is higher than they are consumed. Examples of renewable sources are the solar power. Number one is the solar power. The solar energy obtained from the radiation of the sun, photovoltaic cells or solar panels convert sunlight directly into the electricity through the photovoltaic effect. Solar power can be connected on a small scale or a large scale. Next, number 2 is the wind power. Wind turbines convert the kinetic energy of the wind into electrical energy. As the wind blows, it turns the blades of the turbine, which then spins a generator to produce electricity. Wind farms with multiple turbines are often constructed in areas with consistent and strong winds. Number 3 is hydropower. It is the largest source of renewable energy in the electricity sector. It can be generated from rivers or reservoirs. It involves buildings of dams across rivers to create reservoirs. And the water released from the reservoir flows to the turbine and it generates electricity. The number 4 sources is the geothermal energy. Geothermal power utilizes heat from within the earth. It contains tapping into natural geothermal reservoirs or using geothermal heat pumps. Geothermal power plants use steam or hot water from the underground to drive turbines and generate electricity. Geothermal energy is particularly abundant in the areas with volcanic activity. The 5th number is the biomass energy. It refers to the organic material such as wood, agriculture residues, organic waste, etc. And biomass can be burned directly to produce heat or convert it into biogas to generate electricity in the biomass power plants. So dear learner, these renewable sources of electricity provides a sustainable energy compared to non-renewable based on power generation. Their adoption is essential in reducing greenhouse gas emission, combating climate change, and prompting a more sustainable energy future. We are moving to the last topic of this session, that is electricity generation, transmission, distribution, and power consumption. After electricity is generated in the electrical power plant, it is stepped up to a higher voltage using a step-up transformer for efficient transmission. This is because generating electricity at a low voltage is both practical and economical, as it requires less initial cost and simplify the generation process. However, transmitting electricity at low voltage over long distance is not cost effective due to energy loss as heat. Now, to overcome this, the voltage is increased by step-up transformer before transmission, which reduces energy loss during transmission. Now, once the electricity reaches its destination, the voltage is stepped down by step-down transformer to a safer and more usable level for distribution to different types of consumers. Now, these are the 4 sections that consist in the electric power system. So, first one is the power generation. Electricity is generated in the power plant using various sources of energy such as renewable and non-renewable sources. The power plant section is usually located far away from the populated area, and it produces 50 Hz 3-phase alternating current with a voltage between 11 kV and 33 kV. The second one is a transmission section, and the generated voltage is then stepped up at the voltage of 220 kV, 400 kV and 765 kV using step-up transformers for transmission over a long distance high voltage transmission lines. These high voltage transmission lines carry the electricity from the power plant to distribution substations. The next section is the distribution section. At the other end of the transmission line, step-down transmission substations are installed, where the voltage level are reduced to 66 kV, 11 kV, 33 kV or 132 kV using step-down transformer, and then the electricity is transmitted to the distribution substation. Distribution networks consist of transformer, substations and power lines to deliver electricity to residential, industrial and commercial consumers. At the distribution substation, the voltage is further stepped down to decrease the voltage level to a suitable value for distribution among the various types of customers. For practical purpose, voltage refers to the electrical supply in homes which is standardized at either 120 volt or 230 volt based on the country. So dear learners, after going through the sources of electricity and electricity generation, transmission, distribution and power consumptions, let us now test our learning by attempting these questions. So I hope the information given in this video would help you to enhance your knowledge about the concept of electricity. See you in the next video with some other topics. So till then, thank you.